Hello everybody, this is Alyssa from Mink Arts and Crafts, and today we are working on we are doing a WIP Chat. So WIP stands for Work in Progress, and chat, basically we're going to chat, talk about my week, all of that while I work on this WIP. So today's WIP, I'll have the picture kind of thrown up over here in the corner, is The Painter, and this is by Mage on Duty. So the canvas is from Jaded Gem Shop. This is a round drill canvas. It is a 45 by 60, and I did supplement it with with crystals because I wanted to try one of her canvases with some crystal drills in it. So this particular image, it's coming out really nice, and this is the one that I am doing for the Nightcourt November, and I figured for Nightcourt November I wanted to actually have a actual image from, the book. So it could have been any image from any book, but I chose to do The Painter or Fevre from the actual ACOTAR series. So hence we have this image, and I am on my second to last section. I only did the entire painting is in 6 sections, so you can see this is the size of my entire section. So my, let's change out. Well, we could, but no, we'll just stick with what we're doing. So I am using my tray that I'm using. This is from Bella Art de Nicole. I am using Autumn Harvest Wee Wax, and I am using Cauldron Brew Pity Putty. And then I have this gorgeous Beyond Belief pen. I know it's hard to tell with my backlit canvas from Enabler's Outpost. I love, 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 love the colors of this pen. It is like one of my favorites with these flowers in the blank right there. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So those are the goodies that I am using today, and we are going to go ahead and kind of get into it. So I've already stocked my pen, as you can see, with the putty. And I usually use a little extra putty because I like that overflow with my style of painting. All right, what am I working on there? So how has everybody's week been? I hope you've had a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you're in the States and you celebrate Thanksgiving, if not and you're out of the States, I hope you had a wonderful week. Let's see. The first few drills, placing these first few drills when I'm doing this always takes me a minute getting the right placement. I want to make sure I get that. So there we go. We're going to do this. So let's see. This is Black Friday. I'm filming on Black Friday, which for anybody not in the States, this is like a huge shopping day for everybody. There's all of the stores usually have massive sales, and it used to be that you had to go in person to participate in all of the sales and all of the deals. Nowadays, you can get away with like doing all of your shopping on, let's turn on the light. It's gonna be really blinding for a minute, so if you watch, I apologize. Let me turn my light down. And just give a little bit of that light for my hands so my hands aren't so totally blown out. So if you're, so it used to be for Black Friday that you had to do all of your shopping in, that's much better because these drills looked so dark otherwise, and now we actually have a little bit of light to it. But all of your shopping for Black Friday had to be done in person in the stores. That's how I grew up, where you'd have Thanksgiving, you'd go to bed at a decent time because you're going to be waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you'd have your plan of attack. We would spend Thanksgiving evening coming up with our list of things that, like, getting all the flyers and planning out the plan of attack for all the shops that we wanted to stop at on Friday morning. It always, our first stop was always, like, Best Buy or other Circuit City or Office Max and all the other electronics-y computer stores to take advantage of their deals, and we'd stop at those, and we'd be out there freezing our butts off at, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, waiting for the stores to open, and, you had your plan of attack of, okay, this is what we have to buy from this store, and we'd go do all of the deals and everything. But this is, especially since my dad was an IT computer engineer, we always took advantage of Black Friday shopping for computer stuff and electronic stuff. It was like a must do kind of a thing. And it was always like sheer chaos to do all of that too. But now I love the fact that I can do all my Black Friday shopping ahead of time and do it from the comfort of my own living room and not have to go anywhere or do anything and not have to deal with the chaos of people. I love it. It's magical and perfect. So yes, that makes me very happy because I do not like having to interact with people in person. Yeah. So anyways, so let me go ahead and give you guys a little bit about my week. So let's see, what was my week like? So not too much on Sunday. Sunday was kind of like a recovered day from the chaos that I had from because I had duty on, you guys saw, because I had duty on Friday, which bled over into Saturday morning. So I felt like Sunday was just kind of recovering from all of that. And then Sunday was a really, really windy day on Sunday. So like Sunday morning, I'm just kind of chilling. It was really windy. So I ended up, I was looking out my, my slider on my patio, out my dining room. And I was like, when I had replaced my awning, if you guys remember me giving you the story of replacing the sunshade or that I had for that fabric sunshade a couple weeks ago. Well, when I replaced that, I had to jury rig it a little bit, not the normal way that I would have replaced it, just because it was fresh out of the box or fresh out of the bag. So it was a little bit, and it hadn't like had a chance to lay in the sun and expand out properly. So, and I was waiting for, and I hadn't gone back out to kind of like shorten it back up a little bit. So I had to use like extra hooks to attach it to anchor it in place. Well, with all the wind, I was like, okay, I think I need to go out there and take it off of the extra hooks and put it like, because it's so windy, it may blow it off of those extra hooks because of how some of those hooks work. Cause I was out of eye hooks and I was using like a jury rigged way of hooking it in place basically. Well, as I was watching, it blew off of one of the jury rigged hooks, which I wasn't surprised about. So I had to go out there and be like, all right, now I have to go out there in all of this wind on Sunday afternoon. It was so windy. And basically rehook one of the corners of this thing. Thankfully it was the corner that was closest to the house. So where it's like hooked up actually to the house. So I basically had to hook that back up. So I did that, which was an ordeal because it was basically like half an inch too short without that jury rig that I had done to hook straight to the hook. So it needed the jury rig, but it had broken the clip that I was using to jury rig it, and the carabiners that I was using were just slightly too small. So it needed like a slightly larger carabiner. But I didn't have any, or to use another small carabiner and just basically double up the carabiners. Well, I didn't have any more carabiners, and that's why I had to jury rig it. So what I ended up actually having to do, I was sitting there and I'm like, what am I going to do? Because I can't have this thing flapping in the breeze. It needs to actually be hooked to something. And then I was looking and I have like this, this hammock swing base, which it's that you can hook any kind of like little hammock swing or chair to. And I was like, well, and you hook the chair or the hammock swing to it with a large carabiner. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I could use the large carabiner. I could cannibalize it from that and use that for now because I don't go sit outside here. Like in Hawaii, I would just sit out in a hammock swing on my lanai, and I'd sit out there and like read and everything else and just chill out there. I don't do that out here because the air quality outside sucks because it's the desert. And two, it's either way too hot or way too cold. So I definitely don't just sit outside here and chill like I would in Hawaii. So I ended up doing that. I cannibalized that extra large carabiner, which it wasn't an extra large carabiner. It was just larger than the carabiner that I did have. Or the hooks. They basically look like carabiners, but they're just like the little claspy hook things. I don't know their technical name. But I did that, got it hooked back up, and I was like, okay, good. I can go back inside. I go back in the house and I sit down and I'm like, okay, I can catch up on a couple like YouTube videos, because obviously I couldn't watch anything while I was at the hospital on Friday, and I didn't watch much on Saturday. So I was like, I can catch up on some YouTube videos and everything, and then I'll be good and ready to go for Shay's live, so that way I can watch Shay's live. And then I went to go join in, and it was like, anytime it's super windy, usually my internet is spotty, just because it blows the cables for the internet around and they go flailing in the wind. So I was like, okay, my internet was a little spotty, and then my internet went out. And I'm like, no biggie, it'll come back on in like 10 minutes. Because usually when it drops out during the wind like this, it pops back on in 10 minutes. Didn't pop back on in 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay. Could be a network outage. Usually if there's a network outage, then my Spectrum, which my internet provider, will usually send, like, I'll get a text message from them after there's been an outage for like 30 minutes. Then usually they'll message you saying there's an outage in your area. Never got that message. So I'm like, okay, oh well. I didn't get the message, so I'm like, my internet's still out. So let me go on in the website, or let me go online and chat with my phone and see if there's an outage in the area, and they just haven't sent me the message yet. So I go online and check and see if there's an outage in my area that just hasn't made it to me. And if there is, and you're like not getting signal, then it's one of those things that usually you can like report an outage in your area. So I'm like, well, let me go do that, because maybe it just hasn't been reported. So I go through the whole thing, and it's like, oh, there's no outage for like your address. You can talk to a service provider if you're not getting signal, or you can go and you end up talking to like the bot. And they had me walk through like this whole thing of like, okay, you can try basically rebooting your modem. Didn't work. They had me do a couple other things, troubleshooting. This is the bot having me do this, mind you. None of that worked. They're like, okay, we're gonna have to set you up with an actual person. And I'm like, okay. So I talked, and then I'm like chatting on, or well, like chat box, messenger chatting with a tech, with my internet service provider. And they're having me do some additional work to additional problem solving. And meanwhile, like, I'm like, it's not an issue with my equipment. It's basically my equipment is not getting a signal. So it's something between, it's basically I'm not getting a signal into the house. And I'm like, it has to do with the wind. I know it has to do with how windy it was that jarred something loose, and my house is not getting a signal. So they're like, well, it could be the modem, or it could be something that we have to send a tech out for. You can replace the modem, or we can send a tech out. And I'm like, how about I go replace the modem and you send a tech out, because I don't want it to be something that you send a tech out for, and really he's like, oh, you just need to replace your modem. So then I have to drive 2 towns over after the tech comes out and does their thing. And it's really just a matter of replacing the modem, but the techs don't carry the modems on their truck. Or I don't want it to be something where I go and replace the modem, that doesn't work, and then I have to call them to see about setting up an appointment for a tech to come out to fix it. I would rather already have an appointment set up just in case. So they're like, okay, we can, and this is Sunday afternoon. They were like, we can have a tech come out Monday at like 3:00. I'm like, okay, that actually will be doable. Because it's like, that's towards the end of my work day. I could like rearrange my patient schedule, leave a little bit early, and do that. I would just have to like reschedule my last 2 patients of the day, and I could actually do the 3 o'clock time. I'm like, okay, that will actually work, because, you know, it's hard to do anything when everything is reliant on internet, and signal out here in the desert is so hit or miss and so crappy. So fast forward, so basically I spent the rest of Sunday with like no internet, and cell signal, again, like I said, is so hit or miss, and like I can be sitting there with full signal on my phone, yet a call won't go through. It makes absolutely no sense, but it's just because the desert is just so ridiculous out here. And yeah, it's just like, welcome to life in the desert. So fast forward to Monday morning, I tell my front desks they can rearrange my schedule. It could be like, okay, let's put the patients on this day at this time, because I'm not going to like reschedule them for a crazy time, because my schedule is full for the next 6 weeks, but I have some slots that I hide so I can like fit things in. So it's like, okay, we do that. And then, from there, okay, what color do I want to do next? Let's do A's. That's the dilemma, is what color do I want to work on next? So then it's like, okay, Monday, the lunchtime rolls around. I'm like, all right, just got a few hours left, then I can go get Wi-Fi set up on get my internet working again. Well, my front desk, both people that help out with my front desk, work my front desk, they leave. One of them, she had to go run errands. I think she had a sick kid, so she was running home to, she lived right on base, so she was running home to check on her son over lunchtime. And then the other one, my kid, he's a 19-year-old, active duty that works the front desk as well. He usually goes and eats somewhere else on base, rather than bringing a lunch. So he went to go get food. But they were all out, and I was the only one that was still in the clinic because everybody else had gone somewhere for lunch. I don't go buy lunch. It's too much effort to go buy lunch. So I was just sitting there eating my food, and then my phone rings, and I look at my phone because I don't get phone calls a lot, because I don't get a lot of phone calls on my personal cell phone. And I look, and I'm like, why is it the base calling me? And I answer the phone, and I'm like, oh, okay, because it's like, it was the vet office, the vet clinic on base where I've taken the girls, and I answer, and it was the vet office, and the front desk at the vet office, and she was like, hey, so we were wondering if she was like, so, and we're a small base, and, you know, they know me and I know them. And the front desk, the lady that works the front desk over there was like, so, do you know who this is? And I'm like, of course. She's a very distinctive voice. I'm like, of course I know who this is. Because once she started talking, I was like, oh, okay, I know who this is calling me. She was like, so, what are you and the girls doing tomorrow? And I'm like, well, I'm just going to work. That's the only thing on my agenda for tomorrow. Liz was like, well, would you like to bring them in and get Sushi spayed tomorrow and Mochi's dental work done tomorrow? And I was like, absolutely, I would love to do that, because, you know, I've had them on the waiting list for Sushi to get spayed, and then Mochi to get like a deep teeth cleaning and get her, because her gums have been really inflamed from her teeth. So she's been on the wait list for the vet to get her in for an appointment. So she was like, okay, can you bring them in at 1300 today, or 1 o'clock for all of you that don't do military time or a 24-hour clock. Can you bring them in at 1 o'clock today for their blood work? And I'm like, I will get there. Mind you, she called me at like 12:15 as I was getting ready to eat lunch. I was still at my desk. I was getting ready to finish writing a note or two, and then I was gonna pop over into our break room and go eat my lunch. So it's 12:15 and I'm like, okay, I have to have them there at 1 o'clock. That means I need to leave now, run home, grab the girls, and get back on base. I only live about 12 to 15 minutes from base, but that means I have to leave, run home, grab a kennel to put the girls in, and get back on base for all that. So I'm like, all right, guess I'm out of here. So I ran home real quickly, grabbed a crate out of the garage, cleaned it down real quickly, threw the girls in there. And meanwhile, they're like, what are you doing, Mom? What's going on? Mochi's like, why am I in this kennel? I don't ride in the car in a kennel. I wear a harness. Why do you have me in a kennel, Mom? What is this madness? And Sushi's like, you have contained me in something. I do not like to be contained. So Mochi's not happy at me because she doesn't ride in vehicles in crates. She rides in vehicles in harnesses. And Sushi's yelling at me because she's like, I am restricted. I can't go where I want to go. I can't do chaos. I do not like this, Mom. Let me out. And then we went to the vet. And they were like, oh yeah, this should be pretty quick. Well, we should have them in and out. We just have to take blood work. We should have them in and out in 15, 20 minutes and get you on your way. So I texted my front desk, who were both at lunch, and was like, hey, I know I have a 1300 patient. I'm at the vet office last minute. I should be there by 13:20, 13:30, because I figured I'd go straight from the vet office back to the clinic, bring the girls with me, see my last two patients. I just had a couple patients, and then I was going to be leaving at 14:30 to head back to have my service provider. So I'm like, I'll do that. No big deal. It'll be quick. I'll just be a little bit late for my 1 o'clock patient, but I'll still see him and get it because I had a little bit of a gap after him. But I should be there 13:20, 13:30 at the latest. So it's like, all right, we got this. Well, let's just say, and normally, if you take your pet to the vet office for blood work, they don't let you go back. But I'm friends with my vet, and I'm also medical, so she's like, oh yeah, you can. She was like, hey, do you want to come back while we do the blood work? And I'm like, oh, absolutely. So I went back while they did the blood work, and it actually helped because if you have never seen, Sushi is a master wiggler. So to have two grown adults trying to hold a 4-pound kitten down in kitten hold, kitten burrito, while a third adult is trying to draw blood from her back leg. It was humorous. And we eventually got the blood that we needed from Sushi. Took a few tries because she was not cooperating at all. And we could not get her to sit still enough, even with all of the holds that you would normally do for cats. It was scruffing her. She was like, I will wiggle even though you're scruffing me and holding me down and bodily throwing your weight on top of me. I will still do all the wiggles. It was just like, oh my goodness, how are you still moving like this, kitten? Yeah. So she was wiggling all get out. And then Mochi was getting upset because her kitten was upset. So Mochi was in her kennel having a conniption because Sushi was meowing and yelling. So Mochi was yelling and very mad at us because Sushi was mad at us. And then we finally finished with Sushi, and it was like, okay, now it's Mochi's turn. So we got Mochi out and put her up there, and we were getting ready to do Mochi's blood, and we had to do her blood draw. She just was so chill about it because she had finally calmed. She wasn't upset anymore because we had to transition and get the new everything, the different size needles, and get everything set up for Mochi. Well, so she had calmed down because she was in the kennel with her kitten. So she was completely chill. Well, and then apparently, like, the box of, well, when it came to be Mochi's turn, it took us, again, twice as long as it should have. Not because Mochi was difficult. Mochi was completely chill. She was like, oh, you've got me by the scruff? Okay, I'll just lay here. You didn't even have to, like, practically hold her down at all. It was like, okay, you've got me by the scruff. Here I am. I'm laying on my side. Do what you need to do. I'm just going to lay here. Okay. You're sticking a needle in my leg. Okay. I'm fine with that. No biggie. But the box of needles, this was like they had just opened a box of butterfly needles of the that particular gauge that they were using on Mochi. I think they were using a 22 gauge on Mochi for her, and that particular box of needles, no, they were using a 24 gauge. So they were using a 24 gauge on Mochi to try to draw her blood. And the first 3 that they tried to use, it was like, those first three needles, butterfly needles, were defective, where, you know, you're pulling it up and you're seeing air bubbles in the catheter, or the line of the, if you're not familiar with the needles, it's a butterfly needle, and then it has like a little tube that runs from there to the portion that hooks into the vial for the blood. And it was like you were seeing air bubbles, and we know that's not because she doesn't have air bubbles in her veins, because obviously she would not have air bubbles in her veins. But it was completely defective. But then, of course, so we had to keep, like, trying a different one, because you couldn't tell it was defective until you actually used it. So we felt so bad for her, but it's like we had to get the blood in. We had to do the blood draw so we could try to, like, actually do the blood work to know that you could actually safely do the anesthesia for her procedure. And it was more important to do it for Mochi than it was for Sushi, because Sushi's surgery was pretty straightforward. She's just getting spayed in and out. She'd be done in, like, you know, it's only anesthesia time was like 15-20 minutes for Sushi's surgery, whereas Mochi's surgery, anesthesia time was going to be much longer with the surgery that she was going to be having. So it was going to be much more important to do it for Mochi. Let's go ahead and do the crystals. We're going to do these crystals here, these ends. They want to be done. So it was just like, why is it not? But we eventually got it. They were done, took them home. Took them to work. But by the time I got out of there, I didn't get over to the clinic until like 1:45. But yeah, it was just like, oh my gosh. And then I, from there, went home, saw my patient, went home, got my internet fixed. Sure enough, yep, it was an exterior to the house problem, where the winds had screwed up a line and they ended up having to replace some wires. Got my internet fixed. Yay. And then no food or water for the girls after midnight on Monday night. So it was a really hectic Monday. And then I was like, they had to be back at the vet at 8:30 Monday morning or Tuesday. So I was like, well, I have a meeting from 8. Well, I don't have patients in the mornings on Tuesday mornings because it's usually meeting time. And that particular Tuesday, I had an 8 to 9 meeting and then a 9 to 10 meeting. And I'm like, that's perfect, because if I have to dip out early from the one meeting and then I have to potentially miss the other, it's not a big deal. I'm not interfering with patient care. No big deal. So I left at like 8:25. I shot off an email to for meeting number 2, which is like a Microsoft Teams meeting that I do with my updates for the group, saying, hey, to like the leader for the meeting and saying, hey, probably not going to make it. Here's my updates for the group. So I shot that off. Then I left at 8:25 to head down to the vet, which is like 2 minutes away. Got there, did the pre-surgery physical for the girls. Mochi's little fat self now weighs 6 pounds and 6 ounces because that Winker has been eating all of the kitten food. So she's going to be on a diet. No more kitten food for Winker. Yes, because she's supposed to weigh 6 pounds 1 ounce, not 6 pounds 6 ounces. That's how much weight this fat thing has gained since I got the kitten. 5 ounces. 5 ounces on that tiny cat. That's a lot of weight considering how little she is. In September, when she went to the vet, she was 6 pounds 1 ounce. Now her fat self is 6 pounds 6 ounces. Not happening. Not happening. She's going on a diet. If I can get her to stop eating kitten food, that is. So, and then little Sushlet was 3 pounds, or basically 4 pounds. I think she was 3 pounds. She was like 3.9 pounds is basically what she was. So it was like 3 pounds and 15 ounces or something like that. But pretty doggone close to 4 pounds, which is exactly what I was expecting her to be. It's like the awkward spot to fill in these drills right here when I have to look underneath my camera. So they got their pre-surgery physical, and then the vet, Andrea, she told me that she'd give me a call. She was going to do sushi surgery first, because it was going to be the quicker one, and then she'd give me a call once she finished with hers and before she started on Mochi's. And for Mochi's surgery, she said she'd give me a call once she had taken all of the x-rays for Mochi, because she'd kind of like put her down, put her under, knock her out, and they'd put the catheter in, knock her out, and have to take a bunch of x-rays to kind of see what they were going to have to do, whether she had reabsorbed any of her teeth, or whether what teeth that she would have to potentially go in. And because that's one of the concerns that we had, is the bone stock, or how bad the teeth had gotten. And she's only 3.5, but some cats can have really bad like bacteria in their mouth, where just their natural flora of their bacteria can be more aggressive flora than, other cats. So for her, it just means that like she's got some really aggressive natural flora of her teeth. And moving forward, I just need to do like regular tooth cleanings for her moving forward. So we were able to clean all of her teeth, and then we only had to pull 3 of her molars, or like her big teeth, on the bottom left side, the ones in the back of her mouth. Her sharp canine teeth in the front were good to go. It was the back teeth were the ones that needed pulled, because they had, like, the bacteria had started to eat away at some of the root, and it had inflamed and irritated the root. So she called me and kind of gave me that update, but it took them a little bit longer before they got started on the girls' surgeries. So she called me at lunchtime to say Sushi was good. They finished her surgery. She was under the warming lights because she has no hair, so she got cold. So they were warming her up before they started on Mochi's surgery. And then once she was warmed up and at a good temperature, then they were going to start Mochi's surgery. So they did that. So the girls had their surgery. And then, of course, I was nervous because they were my babies. And you're always going to be nervous when your babies have surgery like that. And then I went at like 4 o'clock to go pick them up. And apparently Mochi was not. And Mochi's normally like a happy little girl and loves everybody. But apparently, so they put them in separate kennels, like right next to each other, but separate kennels at the vet clinic. And Mochi was apparently extremely unhappy about this, and was like swiping at them through the slats of their crate, because and I think it was because she was in a separate kennel from the kitten, and she was separated from her kitten. So she was so unhappy from the fact that they separated her from her kitten, that if they got too close to her, she was like angry cat swiping at them, which is so unlike her. And this is before any kind of anesthesia or anything. And then when it was time for surgery, they gave her an injection to kind of, basically it was kind of like to calm her down before so they could actually then do the catheter and all that stuff. And apparently once they gave her that injection, she turned back into her happy cat self. It was which is really funny. So when I picked him up, Sushi was was basically acting like her normal self. Mochi was high as a kite, super, super drugged up, super drugged little cat. And when I got him home, oh my goodness, Sushlet was kind of like, would not slow down, wanted to be like chaos and run around and do crazy things. So I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and put a sweater on you and see if this slows you down. As soon as I put the sweater on her, it forced her to slow down with all of her movements. And as soon as she slowed down, that kitten was like, you could see that she was still drugged up, because all of a sudden the kitten couldn't walk. The kitten couldn't move. It was like, oh my goodness, okay, you are definitely still drugged. And you definitely need to sleep it off. It was like, when she was moving fast before I put the sweater on her, you would have never known that she had surgery, because she was like using the momentum to move. But you slowed her down, and that's when you could say, okay, you definitely don't have any balance right now. You definitely are not moving well, because you're like drunk kitten. Mochi, on the other hand, when I let her out of the kennel, put it on the floor, let her out of her crate, she was like drunk cat that could barely walk. First thing they did was drink some water, and then I fed the Sushi. Mochi, I had to get the food together and mix up some soft food for her and everything, because she's on a soft food diet for like a week or so. So that way she doesn't have to try to chew any food on that left side of her mouth while it's healing and while the stitches are reabsorbing and dissolving and all of that. But oh my goodness. Mochi was mad at me. She was like, you will not hold me. You can pet me if you lay on the floor, but you will not hold me. She was so mad at me, you guys. So mad at me. She was like, Mom, you are not holding me. I am not going to lay with you. None of that. I'm not having it because I am mad at you. It was funny. And then, yes, that was Tuesday. And then I had to make a tri-tip roast for our our hospital potluck on Wednesday. But I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? Because I can't have like a not good, I can't take it to the hospital if I cook it overnight and have it be cold, or have it be warmed up and then be just like, it's just not the same. You got to have it like straight out of the oven where it was slow roasted, because when I make a tri-tip roast, that sucker is cooked at 225, 30 minutes per pound. It marinates for 36 hours. So that stuff is good. It's slow cooked and it is good. And it tastes incredible. Like, you don't cook that thing at high heat. You don't cook that thing in like a slow cooker. It's just not the same. It has to be like, it's a very specific way that I cook it. So what I ended up doing is moving some patients up. I didn't do sick call on Wednesday morning like I normally do. And instead of doing sick call, I moved a couple patients around and saw them at sick call time frame instead. So that way I could, before I left for work, I threw the roasts in the oven to slow cook, and then I ran home after at like the 3, because it needed to cook for 3 hours and 45 minutes based on the fact that I was doing 7.5 pounds of tri-tip. So it was slow cooking, and then I ran home, picked it up, transferred it over to an aluminum roaster pan, so that way I didn't have to worry about picking up my pan. Brought it to the hospital, dropped it off, ran back over to my clinic so I could see one more patient, then went over to the hospital. Thankfully, I had taken like a little chunk of it and a little slab and left a little slab behind for me, because that stuff was completely gone when I got back over to the hospital after seeing the one patient that I still had to see. They had like cleared out the tri-tip. And we had ham, we had tri-tip, we had So we had like a whole bunch of fried chicken, wings. We had all that. And yet the tri-tip, there was still ham left when I got there, but the tri-tip had been cleared out. Like they cleared me out of the tri-tip like super quick. And apparently that was like the first thing to go from the potluck was the tri-tip. But did that. And then after that went home on Wednesday. I did not do any cooking and I like didn't eat anything. I just kind of chilled. And on Thursday, talked to my family, called them, chatted with them, then did my live, which of course, like silly me, didn't realize that I needed to request the first time I do a live, I needed to press the live button 24 hours before. So I requested I pressed the live button when I got home from work on Wednesday, not realizing that I needed to do it 24 hours in advance. So I ended up doing my Thanksgiving Day live over on Instagram instead of on YouTube. Silly me. So anybody that wants to do a YouTube live for the first time, make sure you do press the live button at least 24 hours in advance. Don't do what I did. So now you'll know for future reference. But did that, and I think I was live from went live at 1 o'clock, and then I was live until I think 4:30 is when I finally was like, all right, I'm gonna call it. I'm done. I've been talking straight for 3.5 hours. I'm done. So, but it was good. I had a good turnout for people. Just gave people an opportunity to chat, have someone to keep them company, so that way you're not by yourself on the holiday, because it's for me, it does, I'm fine with being by myself on the holidays. I've spent many holidays over the years, either deployed, in a foreign country, because that's where I've been stationed, or just, being on the other side of the country from my parents and my family, my brother. So it's for me, it's no big deal to not be near family for the holidays. That doesn't bother me anymore like it used to, but I've kind of gotten used to it over the years. But I know how tough it can be to not be near somebody and not to have family there for the holidays. So I figured, going live and keeping people company is always a great opportunity. That's something that I can easily do and keep people company, so that way they don't feel alone on the holidays, because I know how hard it can be for people to be alone like that. So for me, it's easy. I'll be like, oh yeah, I can go on, and it's not like I'm doing anything else, so I'll gladly go on. And it's one thing to watch a video and have that video going, but it's totally different when you have somebody who's actually live interacting with you when you're typing in what your thoughts are, right there in the chat box, and they're actively responding to you. That's totally different than, watching a video. There's a difference between that. So, in basically any holidays that I'm not near family for, I'll definitely do that. Because I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun kind of going on and giving people that opportunity to have someone to, chat with and talk to. And I think that'll kind of be a tradition that I'll do for anyone in the diamond painting community for any holidays. I will be always, anytime I'm not with my family, which is usually more often than not, I'm very rarely with my family for the holidays, because it's usually such a hassle. So more often than not, I'm not with them. So I'll pretty much almost always be there for a holiday live, for somebody who's there to be able to do that holiday live stream for somebody. And for future ones, guess what? It will actually be on YouTube. Oh goodness, I still can't believe I did that. Anyways, so I had a blast doing that, and then watched Katie and Lindsay and Jacqueline's live for the Black Friday countdown release. I did so much Black Friday shopping from all the different shops. I hit up a bunch of different small shops. I bought, well, I don't know if Oraloa is considered a small shop or not. I bought 2 canvases from Oraloa. I will probably unbox them at some point when they come in. They're on their way. They're supposed to arrive in just a couple days. They ship really quick. That's one of the things I love about Oraloa is they ship so quickly. But I took advantage of, I got one of their new releases that I'm super excited about and one of their other ones with some great discounts. So I got 2 canvases from Oraloa. I took advantage of Diamond Artisan shops, like 25% off sale, and I got all 3 of the new releases from Laura Pautrot, who's Oakita on Instagram. I got all 3 of her new images because those are incredible and I love them. They're beautiful, so I got those. I also got a canvas from Abigail over at Swartz Designs. I got one of hers. And then I went over to Lazy River and I was only planning on buying one from Lazy River from Steph, but then she ended up releasing one that I wasn't expecting. So I got 2 releases from Lazy River. She got me with 2 there. So I'm trying to think, is that all of the ones that I got? I bought so many new canvases because that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's like 8 new canvases. I know, so many canvases that I bought these last couple days, you guys. So many canvases. I think that's like, trying to think if that was all of the, so like I said, I bought a lot of kits these last couple days. And then I did end up purchasing, and I got a couple new pens from Enablers Outpost with their Black Friday sale that I got today. I was gonna try to snag a Peachy Keen pen, but I didn't remember about their release because my week is all thrown off because I'm not at work today, even though today is just Friday and I don't work today. So I completely forgot about that until like 2 hours after the release, so I missed that release. And then I did end up on, I was trying to really limit myself on the Diamond Art Club, but I ended up, and I was trying to keep it down to just as few as possible from the Diamond Art Club ones, but I had to get all 3 of the Yumeis, so those were a given, because, you know, Yumeis don't count in any calculation of anything for me, because those are like the freebies, because it's a Yume, and that artwork just like speaks to my soul whenever she has an image. And the ones that they had this time are going like for the release from Diamond Art Club for Yume. Oh, those were beautiful. Like all of them. They had a Kiki under the stairs. They had the Seeding Imagination, which was incredible. Beautiful. And the crazy thing, like I ended up buying 5 kits from Diamond Art Club, and they were all massive squares. And I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Who is this that's buying all of these massive squares? But when the images are all ones that I couldn't live without, and they were all massive squares. So I got the three Yumeis because I couldn't pass up a Yume, all massive squares. I got the other one that I got was the Miss Holly, the Song of the Moon, because that one, again, was one that just was like screaming my name, and like I was like, I can't not buy this. I can't not buy it. It was just so gorgeous. So I got Song of the Moon, and then I was like, okay, perfect. Those are gonna be the 4 that I'll get. And then they, like almost at the end, kind of like while I was live, it was so funny because while I was live, I was like as they would be doing one of the new sneak peeks, any of the new sneak peeks, I'd like pull them up and look at them while I was doing the live. And they did the sneak peek, not the sneak peeks, but as they would show them on the Facebook and the Instagram, they did the Secret Temple, which I love gardens, like Japanese gardens are, oh my goodness, and the Chinese gardens, any of those gardens like that, oh, I could just get like lost for hours in those gardens. And that's one of my favorite things to do is just explore gardens like that. I saw that landscape by Image World and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to buy that. Like, I love the Fuji World one, and that one's been on my, like, when it comes back in stock, that one's on my wish list. But, like, the thing I don't like about it is the fact that there's pandas in it. And the original artwork, I think it's a Dominic Davidson one. There's pandas in it, and pandas are not, pandas do not exist in Japan unless you're in a zoo. Yeah, Fuji World has pandas. That's what bothers me about that one. And the original artwork doesn't have pandas, so I was going to remove the pandas from Fuji World, like they are in the version of the artwork that Dreamer Designs has. So I was going to kind of take them out of it and do it with no pandas in it. But Secret Temple, oh my word, that one, I saw that and I was like, I have to buy this image. I have to buy this image. I could not resist that image. It was just like, wow, oh my goodness. Again, another massive square. But it was just so beautiful. And I think that's one that I will actually, like, that's one that I think I'll actually, that would be a great, like, centerpiece in the spare bedroom. I think I'll actually, when I do finish it, I'll frame it and put it in my spare bedroom. That one would be beautiful to put up in there because it's gorgeous. It's so incredibly beautiful for that one there, for the Secret Temple. And meanwhile, I'm like, the Discord was blowing up because everybody was like, oh, Alyssa, this one is right up your style, right up your wheelhouse. You'll love this one. And I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, it is perfect. So yes, so I ended up getting 5, all massive squares. Yeah. And I don't know how I feel about the fact that I got all massive squares and I'm trying to not buy squares. Because, yes, but the artwork is beautiful. I'll just have to, like, really limit myself on, or, like, really pace myself when it comes time to actually work on those. So, but that's why I'm doing all rounds right now, giving myself a little bit of a breather after having done those squares. So, anywho, yeah, so I bought way too much. You guys have to let me know what you guys bought and how you did. We'll see if, unless they do like a really good sale on and release more Yumeis or like more pieces like Secret Temple that I like absolutely cannot live without. We'll see if I shouldn't need to buy anything. Well, I shouldn't, and I should be able to like make it through Cyber Monday without buying anything. But there are a few of the releases that I put on my wish list. I think I wish listed like 4 or 5 images from the 100. There were 4 or 5 that I put on my wish list that were beautiful, that I really liked. Like that one tiger, like the water tiger one, that was beautiful. It was really pretty. With just the whites and blues and greens and it's just the one that's like the single tiger on it. Because I know they had a couple different tigers that they did, like the white tigers, the snow tigers. But that one was really pretty. And that one, I think like the rest of the ones that I have on my wish list are ones that actually come in rounds, which is good because I have way too many squares. But yes, needless to say, once I make it through this weekend, there will be no more diamond paintings purchased for a good long while because I have done way too many purchases, and I am good. And now I'm going to be on like a prolonged no buy minus any more like Yumeis or like the rare kit that just like screams at my soul. Like Secret Temple was not something I was expecting to do. But that one just like screamed at my soul. It was one of those things that just like grabbed me around like the throat and said, you will buy me. So there was no choice when it came to that one. Like I had to purchase that kit. So yeah, that's pretty much kind of like how my Black Friday went. And then, yeah, I've just been kind of chilling today. No real plans for the rest of the weekend. This is just going to be a diamond painting weekend. I want to finish this canvas. I'll finish this section this evening, and I'll get started on the last section, which is a smaller section. I'll get started on that section this evening as well. We made really good progress on this one. We filled in quite a bit, as you can see here, and then I just have one more section to go over there, which will be the rest of her arm. And this is her shoulder. That will be her arm over there. And we just have a little bit to fill in there, a little bit in here. And then we are done with it, and she will be done, and I will have another finish. This one would be finish number 4 for the month. And then I'll work on Cozy Mug. And I plan on finishing Cozy Mug this week as well, or this month as well. And that will actually put me at 5 finishes for the month of November, which is awesome, considering how few I finished in October. But yes, anyways, that's what I have for you guys for this week. So I will let you guys go for now. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Thanksgiving weekend, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.